The price per year of age of whiskey has skyrocketed. Today, I'm going to review a 12-year-old whiskey that is under $50 MSRP, and it's still 100 proof. And if you want to find out what it is, then stick around. So for those of you who are used to seeing Pretty Girl, my wife Lindsay, she decided to take the day off today.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, because she has been hard at work making baskets for our fundraiser for Live Stay Project, the suicide prevention nonprofit that we run. And I've asked her every night for the last few nights to record with me, and she does not have time. And she said, "Can you find someone else?" And I knew who to call. So this is Angela.
Hello.
She's been on the podcast a couple of other times. Your first episode, though, I did a little...
It's a real humdinger.
Yeah, I tricked you a little bit. And she was begging for the chance to redeem herself for a very long time.
I think I did that on the last time, the second time I came back.
Yeah.
So now it's just... I can just do whatever I want. I feel like
whatever
happens.
Yeah. You're after you've been on 3 times, like you're an old timer. You can do whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the third time's the charm.
Yeah,
so.
That's what we're hoping.
Anyway, so you're going to join me today to review some of these lovely whiskeys. So before we get too deep into this one, some of you at home may have no doubt already noticed that the whiskey that is on the table is the Prideful Goat.
Yes.
Which I
thank goodness
co-founded and I'm part owner of. So, as a disclaimer, I obviously am biased to this whiskey because I wouldn't have bottled it if I didn't think that it was good.
Right.
So, if that makes you discount everything else I say, I totally understand, but I am actually going to tell you the bad parts about this whiskey. So, if you want to hear about that, then you should stick around for the review, even though you may think I'm going to be biased.
But I'm not.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, she's been given full permission to trash it if she doesn't like it. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about this one because of the value that it represents. If you look back historically, a lot of my videos I've said expect to pay about $10 per year of age. Mm-hmm. And then I started saying, after inflation during COVID and all that stuff, maybe that's not enough anymore. Now it's getting closer to $12 per year age, in some instances higher.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that number starts to come back down. But to my knowledge, this is the first whiskey that is legitimately 12 years old that's been released for a $50 MSRP as far as I can remember.
I haven't seen one in way too long.
Right.
So.
And the reason why, and part of my, being honest with you about how I was able to make this happen is because the underlying whiskey that we used is not as valuable as the whiskey that we have from other sources. So we got this whiskey at a really good price because of what it is, and we're going to get into that. And I'm going to talk about some problems that I had with the TTB and our labeling, because I am all about full disclosure, and there are some things I wanted to tell you that they wouldn't let me. So we're going to talk about that too. So I feel like the price is an impressive price for a 12-year, but it's not really a miracle. The numbers just kind of pan out based on what the whiskey is and what we did to get to this final product. So I'm going to try and be objective and point out the benefits and the drawbacks of the whiskey. So the story was we were looking forever for a whiskey that we could release for under $50. And I was getting samples from all of these different sources all over, but it didn't matter how hard I looked. We were going to have to compromise on something to get below 50. We were going to have to release something that was below an age that I felt comfortable with. We were going to have to release it at a proof that I didn't feel comfortable with, because the more water you add, the lower your cost of what's inside the bottle. I didn't want to release an 80 proof. We were going to have to get liquid from someplace that nobody cared about, or we were maybe going to have to get liquid from multiple states and have a blend of straight, because we weren't going to be able to have a straight whiskey. And so I didn't really want to compromise, but Carlos asked me to take some samples of a 12-year whiskey that they had that was aging. And I remember trying this whiskey when he first got the whiskey in. And at the time, it was a 7-year cash strength. And when I tasted it, I recommended that he rebarrel all of it because it hadn't interacted with the barrel very much. The whiskey was real light in color, didn't have a lot of barrel influence. And so he ended up rebarreling all of it. And when I tasted the samples, I knew that we had a winner. And I did the final blend of this whiskey right here on this bar top with my graduated cylinder and my hydrometer and all that stuff. And now we have the final product. And after we get off camera, I'll let you taste the cash strength version of this that I used to blend this out. So I'm really happy with the final result. And we were finally able to release a whiskey that is $50. It is 12 years old and it's still 100 proof. So I'm pretty ecstatic about those numbers. So the distillery is Giant Texas Distillers. But the liquid was bulk cash strength rye whiskey from Alberta, Canada.
Oh, interesting.
And so, admittedly, Canadian rye doesn't have as much value as American rye whiskey. And that's why we were able to get the price down as low as we did. Because one, we bought it before prices kind of went skyrocketing. And two, we bought it when it was $7, when it was less expensive. And then we held on to it for 5 years. And so a lot of people know that Whistle Pig now sources Alberta rye, Canada.
Oh, I didn't know that. Very cool.
So a lot of people are so confused because they're like, well, now you have a 12-year rye whiskey and it's considerably less expensive than your 6-year rye and your 8-year rye. And that's because those ryes came from MGP and the underlying cost of that liquid was a lot higher. The SKU is called the Prideful Goat 12-year rye whiskey finished in American oak casks. And I attempted to put right here on the front label that it was Canadian rye whiskey because I didn't want anyone to get confused and think that it was the same liquid we've released in our other ryes, but the TTB would not allow it because they said Canadian rye does not have a standard of identity in the United States. It's defined by Canadian law, so they won't let us put it on the label because they thought that it would be misleading.
Sure.
I thought that it was misleading not to put it on the front label. Ironically, by U.S. law, I had to put it on the back label. And so you figure that one out, why it's misleading on the front label but not the back label. So it was aged 7 years in the original barrels, rebarreled, and then aged for 5 years in secondary casks. The barrels are 70% ex-Tennessee whiskey. So there's only a couple distilleries that those could have come from. But I'm sure we have an NDA, and I'm not even sure if we know. But based on flavor, I think I can tell which distillery it came from. 25% Giant Texas pot still bourbon barrels.
Ooh.
Which is an interesting finishing cask because the pot still bourbons, they have a lot more flavor compounds that were retained from the original grain than most whiskey that we're used to from Kentucky because the distillation process doesn't pull all of that out when you're using a pot still versus a column still. And so I thought that was a real interesting, finishing option, and 25% of that and 5% of our MGP rye barrels.
Oh, nice.
So that makes up the 100%. The proof is 100 proof. The SRP is $49.99. We are in a 750 ml bottle.
This is a great value.
Yeah, I think so.
haven't even tasted it, and I'm already excited.
All right, so you wanna taste it up?
I do. I'm gonna nose it first. Can I talk about the nose?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so definitely honeysuckle.
Mm-hmm.
And I might get a laugh at this one because I always pull something out. I get a little candied apple.
Okay, I wouldn't argue with that. I was just sitting here thinking.
I was like, there's
a little something that's perfumey. That's like a sweeter.
There's something about that I don't know why.
But yeah, candied apple. I wouldn't argue about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I've tasted this a number of times. So, doesn't taste like I would expect.
No.
It's a lot sweeter. So there's just a touch of the familiar Canadian rye spice with just a hint of pine, but all of the top notes are much sweeter than what I'm used to from rye whiskey. So I get a ton of brown sugar.
Absolutely.
And people laugh about this, but I get a really sweet cereal note that reminds me of Captain Crunch cereal without the crunch berries.
I could see that because that was one of my favorite cereals. Well, with the crunch berries, but one of my favorites growing up.
And the great news with this is you can drink it. It comes with the added benefit of relaxation because of the ethanol. And it won't destroy the roof of your mouth the way that Captain Crunch does.
Okay, so legit, unbiased, it's delicious. Like, I will 100% buy this.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. Like, this is very nice. And I would like to touch on the fact, in case someone is like me, I am not a sweet bourbon drinker. I love rye, I love whiskey, I love bourbon, but I don't like them too sweet. And you did touch on a lot of the sweet notes, but it's not too sweet. So if you're worried that this might be one of those ryes that's like maple syrup in a glass and you're like, blah, no, not at all. Like, it's a really nice balance of just enough sweetness, I think. Any more, and I might have been like, oh, that's a little much, but I just want to clarify that for those, if anyone's like me that's like, I don't drink sweet whiskey, this is not
It
sweet.
doesn't taste fake sweet, like
No.
like a fake finished rye. You know what I'm
Absolutely
saying?
not.
I'm not mentioning
really
any
good.
names, but you know who I'm talking about.
I know. I don't have a name.
Yeah, but I also get just a hint of like a blueberry muffin note on this. There's a bit of a fruit note in the mid palate.
You're better than I'm not that cool, but
yeah, I get a little bit of a blueberry muffin, maybe with that sugar crumble on top, you know?
no, the sugar crumble I could see.
Yeah. It's a little bit caramelized flavor. So on a 100-point scale, how would you rate this? And if you don't feel comfortable giving a number, you don't have to.
No,
but
I'll
for
give you a number.
me, I use the reference point of Wild Turkey 101, which is around an 81 on a 100-point scale for me.
I love wild turkey.
Yeah, so I
love wild turkey.
You know, but you gotta leave room for the William LaRue Wellers and George C. Staggs of the world. So you can't be giving 101 like a 90. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I'm not just saying this. I love it. The price, the age statement, the taste.
The score should not be
I
influenced
can't.
by the price.
Okay, well, sorry.
This is just based on flavor.
Just based on flavor alone. I mean, I'd give it a solid 85.
Okay.
I mean, I really enjoy it. Like, I genuinely, it's fantastic.
I'm not gonna go that high. I'm gonna go 83
Okay.
on this one. This is one that I would sip anytime. I would not hesitate to make a cocktail out of this.
I would refer to this as an easy drinker.
Yeah, it's an easy drinker, 100 proof, so it's still got a little bit of oomph, but you know,
Yeah.
it's on the lower end of the proof ranges that I prefer to drink. So I'm gonna give this one an 83 solely based on flavor.
Okay.
So for me, I flavor wise, I enjoy this slightly more than like a Wild Turkey. But is this like oh my god, this is the whiskey of the year? You know, William LaRue Weller, get out of the way. No, if it's not like that at all. It's just a good drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
So the way that we rate its value overall is, would you rate it a buy or a pass? And I think you already said
Oh, definitely.
you would buy this. Yeah,
100%.
Obviously, I'm going to rate this a strong buy. I'm very excited to be able to bring something like this to the whiskey enthusiast world out there. So if you're wondering where to buy it right now, it is in Alaska, Louisiana, and it will be released in Texas on Saturday. So
Thank goodness.
we're recording during the week. We'll probably release this episode today, actually. Saturday, October the 5th, 2024. For those of you who are watching later, we will be releasing this at the distillery at Giant, Texas, and also Tejas Brewing. And we're also doing a suicide prevention fundraiser there. So we're doing a single barrel selection at the distillery for the Prideful Goat. We are going to pick the first ever 8-year bourbon single barrel.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's where it's at. But we also have it at Sealbox right now. So Sealbox was putting in a restocking order, and I said, if you'll give me a few days, I'm going to let you order something pre-release. And so right now it is on the Stillbox website. We haven't even added it to the Prideful Goat website. So I had some people find it on Stillbox and reach out to me and goes, "This legit? A 12-year whiskey for $50?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's legit. Get it while supplies last," because they didn't order a ton of it. So it can also be found on Stillbox. But Angela, we always give something away on the podcast. You know, just kind of as a thank you for people watching. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do 5 1-ounce samples, and we're going to give you a sample of all of the Prideful Goats that are currently available in various markets. So we're going to do the 6-year bourbon, 6-year rye, 8-year rye, and of course, the 12-year rye that we're featuring in this video. And all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified of future content and future giveaways, because there's a giveaway in every video. And then you have to go to the video description below the player in YouTube. You have to click expand because it doesn't show all of it. Somebody asked about that the other day. And there's a web form that says free giveaway. And you just fill out that form. We run a randomizer. We'll post the results publicly on the YouTube channel post. That way you know that everything is legit. Then we reach out to the winners and we will send you your samples absolutely for free. And if you like this content, you want to support the channel, you should check out Patreon. We have a lot of member benefits. The event that we're doing this weekend is open to the general public, but we do that same sort of thing at other distilleries. We call it Distillery Takeover, and we pick a single barrel, release it exclusively to the patrons, and you get to go on these like curated whiskey trips. We do discounts on merch, monthly virtual bottle shares, and a lot of other benefits, and there's a price point for every budget, so check that out. We also have a lot of good merchandise at bourbonrealtalk.com, all designed by Pretty Girl. And she also created the website. So you can check that stuff out. All whiskey stuff made by whiskey people for whiskey people. And last but not least, I am a residential real estate agent in the Houston and Dallas metro areas. So if you need residential real estate services in either market, please reach out. There are links for all 3 ways to support the channel in the video description. And if this is your first time tuning into the channel, I'd like to say thank you for the view and let you know a little bit about why we do all this. And that's because we want to use whiskey to help create connection. And connection is something that's important to us because we lost my younger brother to suicide in 2014. And in the aftermath of that, we were trying to find a way, my wife and I, to help other people who might be feeling alone or, separated or hopeless. And we saw how the hobby of whiskey was creating fast friendships between people. And we thought, maybe if we can get you connected to whiskey, the whiskey will do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. And so that's why we have the podcast. It's also why we started the Bourbon Real Talk community, because that is a free Facebook forum that you can, get to know other whiskey lovers, and you're a member in there. Right?
Yes. It's fantastic. Yeah. And it actually, honestly, it is a real sense of community. Mm-hmm. And there's been periods where I've gone through some struggles, and it was hugely beneficial. So I don't really know how to put that eloquently, but it's a great community where you get to meet a lot of different people that you might not normally interact with, and you find that you have a lot more in common than you think. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. When the subject is whiskey and not politics or religion.
Amen.
It turns out that you probably love your neighbor a lot more than you thought you would. We did realize though that we needed to do that because some of the other forums do have some negativity in them. We call those people whiskey trolls, and they show hate to strangers online. And that's, part of the reason why we started on a forum, but they taught us another valuable lesson, and that is, if they can hate a stranger online, there's nothing that keeps us from loving a stranger online. And that's why we end every episode the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that I love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers.
Cheers. You can add in some cutaway.
Yeah, cutaway. Yeah.
Of making fun of me again.
No, we're not doing that again. Just the one time.
It was really kind of pretty funny though. I don't really blame you.
Still one of my favorite recordings. We do this every time. You just don't know. We don't always put it in. It's a whole thing. We don't even play that music at the beginning anymore. But we still do it.